Thank you, and welcome to Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, regular closed session meeting of the EBMUD Board of Directors. In accordance with Government Code Section 54953E, this meeting will be conducted by webinar and teleconference only. A physical location has not been provided for this meeting. Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Director Coleman.
Present.
Director Katz.
Present.
Director McIntosh. Here. Director Mellon.
Present.
Director Patterson.
Present.
Director Young.
Yep.
President Lenny.
Here. Public comment. If members of the public are online and wish to make public comment, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. When prompted, please state your name, affiliation if applicable, and topic. Please refrain from providing personal information such as addresses or phone numbers during public comment. If we need this information, we will have you contact staff. The secretary will call each speaker in the order received. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. However, I have the discretion to amend this time based on the number of speakers. The secretary will track time and inform each speaker when the allotted time has concluded.
I don't have any hands for public comment at the moment.
Okay, we'll give it a minute. All right.
There's no one on the line for
If no
public
one on the
comment.
line, we will now convene to discuss closed session agenda items. We're scheduled to return for a regular meeting at 1:15. Great. Welcome to our Tuesday, June 28th regular business meeting of 2022 of the EBMUD Board of Directors. In accordance with Government Code 54953E, this meeting will be conducted by webinar and teleconference only. A physical location has not been provided for this meeting. We will receive reports from this morning's Finance and Administration Committee meeting and the June 8th, 2022 Los Vaqueros Reservoir JPA meeting under item 17. Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Director Coleman.
Present.
Director Katz.
Present.
Director McIntosh.
Here.
Director Mellon.
Present.
Director Patterson.
Present.
Director Young.
I'm here.
President Lenny.
Here. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then we have some presentations. Clifford, do you want to lead us in that?
Yes, so first we have, the district has received 2 awards for its fiscal year 22 and 23 budget documents from the Government Finance Officers Association and the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers. For the past 17 consecutive budget cycles, the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada has presented a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the district for its published budget document. To receive this award, the district's fiscal year 22 and 23 budget document must meet stringent guidelines and program criteria as a policy document, operations guide, financial plan, and communication device. 3 independent reviewers from the U.S. and Canada rated the documents. For the other award, for the 6th time, the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers has presented the Excellence in Budgeting Award to the district. The Excellence in Budgeting Award is a higher level award with additional requirements that must be met. The program is designed to recognize agencies that have prepared a budget document that meets the highest standards. So I'd like to congratulate the Director of Finance, Sophia Skoda, and the finance team that developed these budgets, including Bernadette De Leon, Richard Liu, Jenny Tam, Cindy Vong, Teresa Wan, Sam Feldman-Crow, Nathan Hood, Additionally, I'd like to thank the retired Manager of Budget, Gene Chase, and the retired Principal Management Analyst, David Mercado, for their many years of dedicated service. The budget process is truly a team effort of department staff, finance staff, and the Board of Directors. It is this team effort that results in a district budget that is informative and effective. Thank you to the team.
guys line up. All right. This is part of the team that keeps East Bay Mud an outstanding financial institution of the highest caliber. And so the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers Certificate of Award, Operating Budget Excellence Award, fiscal years 21-22 and 22-23 to the East Bay Municipal Utility District. And for those who have hands-on first call, I congratulate you. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. 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 Thank you. Team number one.
All right.
And as a follow along, the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the East Bay Municipal Utility District and to, again, our outstanding team. Congratulations. Congratulations. We won again.
So next, we want to recognize the fourth anniversary of the State Wild and Scenic Designation of the Mokelumne River, and Director Young has a few words.
Yes, thank you. Whoops, let me go off mute. All of you, everyone in this room certainly, and hopefully most of our audience knows that the source of the wonderful water that we get out of our tap, 90% of that is from the Mokelumne River, one of the most protected watersheds in the state of California, and one that begins very, very high in the Sierra. A water course that most of us do not get to see very much of, and that many of us here at the district think that our water starts at Pardee, and that just ain't the case. Yesterday marked the 4th anniversary of the designation of the Mokelumne River as a wild, 37 miles of the Mokelumne as a state wild and scenic river. This was a campaign and a long, many decades actually, of tireless work by dozens and dozens of volunteers and river lovers and advocates throughout the watershed, notably Friends of the River, the Foothill Conservancy, especially Catherine Evett and Pete Bell, and many, many, many volunteers. This was not always a campaign that East Bay Mud supported, but several years ago, this board unanimously passed a resolution to support designation of the Mokelumne as a wild and scenic river, and worked with stakeholders to craft legislation that ended up bringing everyone together to support that. And I just think it's fitting as we enter our 100th year that we are serious about protecting the source of our drinking water. And I want to today, actually, there's a pretty cool thing happening. A couple weeks ago, somebody that I used to work with as a whitewater rafting guide back in the early 80s, a fellow named John Silva, who also was a deputy sheriff for Amador County, began a journey from the headwaters of the Mokelumne to the bay in biking, hiking, kayaking, canyoneering, dragging sometimes over parts of the stretch. We've been following it in splashes. We've put it, announced it on our Facebook page. And today, John and his buddy made it to the Little Neighborhood Beach by San Quentin, and they are going to join us today just to say a few words about their expedition and why they're doing it. And then perhaps we may have a couple people that want to say something as well. So I want to thank John. It's been a tremendous journey. It's been really fun to watch or to follow it. John, if you're there, join us, please.
John, you should be able to turn on your camera. Catherine, you should be able to turn on your camera.
Okay, I think my microphone is on. This is John. I don't know if there's any video or not yet.
No video just yet.
We saw you for a second.
There.
Hmm.
There we go.
There's Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine, you should go off maybe. Just for a second. If John can come back on, try to.
They both can be. So John, you should be able to turn on your mic and possibly your camera. If you're having camera issues, you can just turn on your mic.
Okay, the mic should be on. The camera issue, I don't know what's going on with that.
Then just go ahead.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me at your board meeting. A couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, after retiring from the sheriff's office, I wanted to do something to both give back to the community as well as fulfill my passion for adventure. So following last year's 3,000-mile bike ride I did to increase domestic violence awareness and support a local agency in Amador County that provides services to victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, I wanted to do something for locally, so kind of formulated this journey, Mokelumne River, source to the sea. It was an absolute no-brainer in terms as to who it should report. As Marguerite said, I've been a river recreationist, and I've guided on and off over the years. So it's been quite a remarkable journey. I'm joined here with Steve, who I met during last year's journey. At any rate, we started in Jackson, bike packed, pretty much mostly off-road, Salt Springs Road, Huntalelty Ridge to Kirkwood, and other four-wheel drive type Forest Service roads and trails over to the Ebbets Pass area. We have climbed, I believe, 8 different peaks around the headwaters of the Mokelumne, starting with none other than Mokelumne Peak, and a couple we had to miss for a variety of reasons, but I think I may be going back there in the next few weeks following this journey and doing those peaks with some of the current Foothill Conservancy staff. So it's been both an honor and a privilege to be doing this for Foothill Conservancy. I've known Catherine Evatt for, I think a few decades now, if I'm not mistaken. And I have nothing but admiration for the work that she and Pete have done over the decades, resulting obviously with the designation of 37 miles of a river that's very near and dear to my heart with the state wild and scenic designation.
Great, thank you, John, for the support that you're giving to the river and the Foothill Conservancy. And folks can check this out on Facebook under Give Back Adventures or at the Foothill Conservancy's website and see how you can help and support it. Catherine, I can't think of any two people who are more responsible for designation of the wild and scenic Mokelumne, and have put their basically heart and soul into it. We'd love for you to say a few words and thank you for all of the work that you've done.
Oh,
You're on mute. Catherine, you're on mute.
And again, never been accused of being too quiet. Thank you, Marguerite, and thank you to the board and the staff of EBMUD for your commemorating the 4th anniversary of the Wild and Scenic River designation. I'm the past president of the Foothill Conservancy, and I did have, a fair amount to do with securing the Wild and Scenic designation. It certainly could not have been done without the help of literally hundreds of people and the critical role that East Bay Mud played in supporting the legislation, helping bring our local water agencies and local governments along and passing the bill. So it's a happy time for us. And I want to say that we also truly appreciate the way that East Bay Mud is dedicated to the health of the Upper Mokelumne River watershed and the health of the Upper Mokelumne River. And we're grateful that after all of these decades of working together, that East Bay Mud has formed strong partnerships with the conservation groups who care about the Upper Mokelumne and with the water agencies who also rely on the Mokelumne for their water. Also, just want to say thanks to John Silva, who I have known for decades. I mean, I had brown hair when we started all this. And we've been following his trip, and we're really grateful to his efforts. So thank you again for all of your support for this river that we all appreciate and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, John. And thank you to everybody that participated in this effort and remembering it. And with that,
Great. Thank you. I just want to add, my thanks to Catherine and all the folks in the Foothill Conservancy and other groups, Friends of the River and others who've really been pushing for a long time or were pushing for a long time to make this a reality, and knowing how hard it is sometimes in the face of, especially in the water world, a concern that there's never enough water to get out of things, and that the questions about how Wild and Scenic will affect water supply and things like that. But ultimately, prevailing with the idea that this was a great way to protect the quality of the water that we get from the Mokelumne River and protect it for generations to come. That argument certainly seemed won the day, and very proud that the East Bay Mud was an important part of making it over the top and getting this designation and protecting it that way. Any other comments by anyone? Great. All right. Well then, with that, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Public comment.
Public comment.
Announcements from closed session,
I'm sorry. I do have an announcement from closed session. The board met in closed session this morning to consider a request by the general counsel to authorize initiation in one matter. All directors were present at the closed session. Director Coleman abstained from voting on the matter. The remaining directors voted to authorize the general counsel to initiate litigation in the matter. The action, defendants, and other particulars will be disclosed upon inquiry once the action is formally commenced. There are no other announcements from closed session. All right, and now we're on to public comment. If members of the public are online and wish to speak on agenda or non-agenda items, please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. Comments on non-agenda items will be heard at the beginning of the meeting. Comments on agenda items will be heard when the item is up for consideration. When prompted, please state your name, affiliation if applicable, and topic. Please refrain from providing personal information such as addresses or phone numbers during public comment. If we need this information, we'll have you contact staff. The secretary will call each speaker in the order received. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. However, I have the discretion to amend this time based on the number of speakers. The secretary will track time and inform each speaker when the allocated time has concluded. Do we have any speakers waiting?
I have no one online for public comment at the moment. I do have one written comment that I need to read into the record, the name and subject. We received an email from Lorena Coos to the Board of Directors regarding a concern with interactions with staff at the Mokelumne River Fish Hatchery Public Day Use on Saturday, June 25th, and this will be included in the meeting minutes. And there are no hands for public comment.
All right, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. Items 1 through 13, items to be pulled. John?
I'd like items 7 and 8 pulled, please.
All right, any other items? Otherwise, I'll take a motion for the rest of the items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Director Mellon, seconded by Director Patterson for items 1 through 6 and 9 through 13 for approval. Since we're all present, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Item number 7.
Thank you very much, Doug. I just have some questions on the proposed contract, which we need to do. I'm not saying we shouldn't, regarding our drought outreach with KTVU Fox TV. And the questions are, I assume we went with KTVU because they're probably the lowest cost for the market share that we want to reach, one, correct?
Not only that, but they also, we did some research, they also have the greatest reach in terms of our service area.
Okay.
They're known to really have, the reach within the county, the area of the county that we serve.
So they have the greatest market share, you're saying, versus any other TV stations?
Given what we have done, based on our research. I don't know.
That's not a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay. How many I was blown away when it said the ads will run up to 10 times per week during the morning news. Is that the bulk of the time, the audience we want to reach? I mean, how many, I guess maybe I don't watch morning news, I watch evening news. But how many people actually watch the morning news? And it seems like, wow, okay. That, do you watch KTVU?
Yes.
Okay, no. I mean, to me, it just seems like concentrated area, and I really want to know, is that the best way we're spending the money on that timeshare in that particular market versus other markets on KTVU? Let's say 6 o'clock news if they have news at 6, or whatever the case may be.
Well, I don't know. Let me have Alice come talk about the timing, how that was negotiated.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Director Coleman and other members of the board. Yeah, so there's a couple, just to be clear on KTVU, we did, over the last year or so, we have talked to a bunch of different local agencies that do this type of advertising. KTVU does match our service area very well, and they did kind of give us the best deal, both in terms of the television ads and then some of the other services. So what this gives us, it does give us ads during the morning news, and part of the reason we're particularly interested in that is that they've kind of said to us, in addition to the contracted services, they're going to also work with their meteorologists in the morning to kind of bring up drought and conservation more organically. So there's a nice synergy there. So in addition to the ads in the morning, they're also going to be delivering ads on something that's called over-the-top TV. I did not make up that phrase, but that's essentially, so in addition to, you can think about if you have your TV in your house, you turn it on, you're watching the news. There's also, a lot of people watch television now through devices like Amazon Fire, Roku, services like that. So actually the majority of the advertising that they're going to be doing is kind of throughout the day using those services. And the nice thing about that type of service is it's very targeted. Like there's a certain amount of demographic information they have, so they can target it based on zip code, the size of the household, things like that. So in addition to the ads that they've committed to running on a weekly basis in the morning news, they've also committed to 1 million impressions, they call it, in English through the over-the-top TV, and then 1 million impressions in Spanish. And then the third part is on their website, they're going to create like a micro site for us, or like a dedicated web page. So you could go to ktvu.com, you could click on Drought, it would take you to a page. Any kind of news drought coverage that they have would live on that page, and then we would also have the ability to post sponsored content. So for example, we could have stories, that we were thinking actually that would be a good way to recognize our super savers, is to maybe have like a story there kind of recognizing a few customers who are doing a good job of conserving. That's also a good opportunity for us to kind of share some of what we're doing from a water supply and water loss perspective. So, and I recognize, we've had a lot of conversations between conservation and public affairs. I think the district has done some types of things like this in the in the distant past. It is a little bit new for us, but KTVU did seem like they were offering kind of the best bang for the buck and the best kind of overall partnership. So I hope that helps.
That does help. So sort of moving, that's great. And I'll be supporting this, but the other water agencies, are they doing something similar, and are they doing it on different networks? So that really, you got the 4, 5, and 7, I guess, are the big ones here, and 2. So whether San Valley Water or whomever's doing one of the stations and yada yada. So whenever somebody's channel surfing or watching something in particular, they're going to get the message on the key TV stations. Has that been coordinated or discussed amongst the public, the PIOs and the water world here?
Yeah, I know that there, and Kelly can maybe speak to that a little bit more. I know there have been discussions among the regional PIOs. I'm not aware of any other agency that's doing TV advertising at this time.
Good afternoon, Director Coleman. So we have been meeting regularly with the other Bay Area PIOs and talking about some shared messaging. So I think we're trying to make sure that our message, despite the differences in our water supplies and agencies themselves, that like the overall messaging is similar about conserving water outdoors, mindful of indoor use, check for leaks, all those things. But I don't think any of the other water agencies at this time are pursuing a partnership by themselves. There is some talk, however, about coordinating at the state level through the Save Our Water campaign, so that we all might get kind of tied together through that effort, and that would be a broader based effort, probably not just the Bay Area, but throughout the state.
And maybe Kelly, you can share, I mean, you're also part of those meetings at the state level.
Correct. I'm meeting every other Friday.
Okay, that's been very helpful, thank you. I'll move item 7.
One comment. I do watch KTVU, and there's also a follow along that you can do. You can stream it onto your any device that you have that you can pick up. You can get that all day long. You can just flash back to it, and it'll review for you that information. I found it to be quite helpful.
Thank you, Bill, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on item 7 by Director Coleman, seconded by Director Patterson. Any other comment, questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item 2, I did get some information from Clifford on this. This is something that's, well, actually, it's both the Marguerites in my backyard, literally the Lafayette Reservoir. And yes, we need to fix the tower, no question about it, for seismic safety purposes. It's required. I just want to make sure in the process of doing this, since I get a lot of emails or phone calls regarding the Lafayette Reservoir all the time, and when the work starts, I know it talks about there may be some impact on activities around the reservoir, that we're doing ample reaching out to people leading up to the activities, so that all of a sudden when we start the work and maybe parking is impacted or whatever else, people know it weeks ahead of time, so they're not caught off guard, and then all of a sudden there's a flurry of emails and phone calls. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? From an education standpoint. And I'd also be interested, as we reach out, and it says in August, I think, for the design review of the tower, that any public meetings that, if there are going to be public meetings, since this has been discussed at city councils and my ward and probably Marguerite's ward as well, that we're aware of it, and I would at least like to know when it's happening, when the public outreach is taking place, and how it's going to be taking place, in order to help educate those who have questions about it, because there's been concerns in the past. Is the tower going to look different? And I've said, yeah, it probably will. There's a cost aspect. So there's a lot of education that needs to go on, since it's become sort of an iconic symbol, if you want to say that. So I just want to make sure that when this is going on, at least I am, and whoever else obviously on the board wants to be kept apprised on this.
Yeah, we can do both, just making sure that the residents are aware in advance, and also let you know when those public meetings are going to take place. So if you can attend, either you or Director Young, we'll let you know those meeting dates.
Thank you, and I'll move the item.
Second.
All right, item 8, Moved by Director Coleman, second by Director Patterson. Any other further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries unanimously. All right, so we're on to determination and discussion. General Manager Chan will introduce these items.
Yes, so for the first item, I'm pleased to bring to you for your consideration the appointment of Cindy Sharon to the position of Director of Human Resources. Cindy has a breadth of experience in all aspects of human resources, including labor relations, contract negotiations, employee services, and recruitment. She also has extensive experience providing guidance and incorporating diversity and inclusion within organizations. Cindy is currently the Chief of People and Leadership with the Alameda County Office of Education. She's also worked as the Human Resources Director for the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission and the Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency. Cindy has a bachelor's in business management and a master's in human resources and organizational development. Cindy was our top choice among dozens of candidates following an extensive recruitment.
If I could, I'll make the motion, but I have a comment if I could.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'll move the item. No, Cindy sounds extremely qualified. It sounds like it's a great find for EBMUD in the process, so congratulations on that effort. I just would like that, I know she starts August 15th, and she's going to have a whole lot of work to deal with when she gets here, but a time frame, maybe setting November 1 or whatever, an outline on how she's going to do an assessment of HR, since there's been a lot of issues that have come to the board from HR, about HR issues, to do an assessment on how to work through fixing through some of these issues. I know that there can't be a plan, but helping design the process to address that and going forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Director Coleman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Marguerite. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
And
carries
Cindy is here
unanimously.
with us today.
Great.
Congratulations, Cindy. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please.
Our tradition.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your trust in my leadership. I am really excited to join the EBMUD senior management team. I won't go into my background. I think you've pretty much are versed on that. I appreciate the comment by Director Coleman. That is the intention within the first 60 to 90 days to do an assessment of human resources. A little bit more about my background, if I may, if I just take a quick minute. Part of my background is not just human resources management. I also have a background in organizational development and leading transformations within organizations. I do think the timing is great for some of the conversations that we are having in terms of looking at the various needs within the human resources department. Diversity and inclusion is also at the heart of a lot of things I do, so I carry that lens as I look at areas to strengthen and opportunities to enhance how we partner with the organization. This is an exciting opportunity. I'm super excited. A little bit personal, a little bit of a personal aspect about me. I am a native of San Francisco, and as General Manager Chan mentioned, previously worked with the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. That was a tremendous opportunity for me to learn so much about the utilities, and that is what has brought me here to the EBMUD. I also bring to you a background in workforce development and planning as well. Looking forward to working with the members of the senior management team as well as Derry Moten, the Director of Diversity and Inclusion. I know there's always a lot of work there to lift, and these are some of the areas that I'm really looking forward to partnering in. So thank you. I appreciate the privilege and the honor to serve as your future HR Director.
Who's general counsel now at the PUC?
There's been so much that has happened at the city attorney's office. So the district city attorney is now the general manager. I actually don't know. There's been so much movement there.
Wow.
It's not our most recent.
No, it's not. So, yeah, so the general manager at the San Francisco PUC is Dennis Herrera now, who used to be city attorney. And he brought in Rob Flynn, to be his chief of staff, who's then going to move over to, I might get their title wrong, but assistant general manager.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations,
That's
Cindy.
Jewish.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, Cindy. Okay, next for your consideration is the adoption of our fiscal year 22 Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action Program report. This report was discussed at the June 14th Legislative Human Resources Committee meeting. Janella Sambor-Wallace, our Manager of Diversity and Inclusion, will begin the discussion with a brief presentation.
This presentation will provide an overview of the district's FY22 Equal Employment Opportunity Affirmative Action Program, or EEOP AAP report, which is developed and presented to the board annually. Data from this FY22 report highlights the following. First, a retroactive overview of FY21 district workforce, placement goals, progress, and areas for improvement. Next, the ongoing action items or action-oriented program efforts for a diverse representative workforce moving forward through the end of FY22 and beyond. And this compliance report is just one element of our diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI strategy. With the board's approval of the DEI strategic plan, or DEISP, in February of this year, which encompasses this EEOP AAP compliance report, the priority is to go above and beyond our placement goals and attract and retain a highly diverse and talented workforce. These charts demonstrate the district's workforce in terms of race and gender for FY21. The top set of charts shows our overall district workforce across all job groups. Below, we highlighted the district workforce, excluding maintenance and field operations job groups. And as you can see, there's a difference in the demographics with this exclusion, particularly in the gender makeup, with almost 50-50 gender representation and an increase in the minority makeup. And these demographic differences, depending on job groups, highlights that one of our largest areas of focus is the maintenance and field operations job groups. Some of the job groups included in this are the rangers, service and mechanical maintenance, and technicians, which are also job groups with placement goals, which I will discuss in a later slide. In this slide, I wanted to give a general overview of how we determine workforce availability. From the overall population in the recruitment area, the orange circle, we determined in the peach circle who is in the workforce or qualified and available to work. From that group, we then analyzed who is working in these specific occupations, which is the gray area or availability. And the availability determines the approximate level at which each racial and gender group could reasonably be expected to be represented in a job group if the district's employment decisions are being made without regard to gender, race, or ethnic origin. So this slide shows the FY21 8 job groups with 7 placement goals for minority and 3 for females, 2 of which overlap. Year to year, the first 7 job groups that have placement goals in this table do not typically change. One reason is because incumbents in these job groups tend to have long tenures, which limits the number of available positions that could be filled with diverse candidates. And as you can see on this slide, the ranger job group had no job openings for FY21, and many of the other job groups had fewer than 15 job openings. And the yellow shows the job groups where we made some progress in that the actual placement rate was less than the placement goal, but greater than the incumbency rate. The red shows the job groups where we did not meet our goals, and the green shows where we did meet our goals. Overall, we were able to make progress and even exceed a placement goal, despite the fact that the data was captured in the first year of the pandemic. And as we all are aware, many variables throughout the pandemic changed the job market so that employers nationwide found it challenging to fill positions overall. Here we wanted to show the 5-year trend of placement rates for protected veterans and individuals with disabilities, or IWDs. From FY17 to FY20, the district was steadily increasing in its placement rates. For FY21, the veterans placement rate actually exceeded the placement goal. However, the placement rate for IWDs significantly decreased. While it's not possible to pinpoint the exact reason for the decrease for IWDs, for many organizations across different industries, there has been a decrease in the number of applicants since early 2020, and that seems to have resulted in a corresponding decrease in the numbers of applicants who self-identify as IWDs or protected veterans. And that trend was also reflected in our agency. For FY21, there was a large decrease in the number of overall applicants at the district. In FY20, there was a little over 9,200 total applicants, and that decreased to approximately 5,500 in FY21, which is a 40% reduction. And in addition, the number of applicants who identified as IWDs decreased from 4% in FY20 to 3.3% in FY21. Yes, Director Young.
Hi, this comes from in application where at the end of the application where it says, are you a protected veteran? Are you or have you had a disability? And it's that information that's captured confidentially. And people have the option to disclose or not disclose, right?
I believe so, but I think our...
Is that where that comes
Yeah.
from? That's correct. Okay, thank you. The language in the, I mean, it's not just us. I mean, my son's been looking for work, and so he's like, he goes, why do I do this? What is that? Da, 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 da. And it's just, it's really dense language that doesn't really help the person who's being asked to answer the question, why? Because it feels like you might be outed, even though it says it's confidential and it won't be used and all of that. I said, no, disclose it. Nobody's gonna know that's making an employment decision, but that doesn't like jump out at, that doesn't jump out at you when you're, you know, filling out that paperwork. So I don't know if that's, you know, something that we can't address. I understand it's federal law or state law or whatever, but.
Okay. This slide. This is a chart showing our FY22 and ongoing workforce strategies. We have job strategies that target most of these job groups. The first column shows the diversity committee. The committee is comprised of both affinity group members and representatives from all of these job groups and strategizes on targeted outreach for recruitment and retention. We also have internship trainee programs to target almost all of the job groups. Some ones of note include the community trainee program, formerly called the Special Employment Program, which started again this year to target the service maintenance job group. Another is the Ranger Post-Secondary Internship Program, along with the limited term positions for the Rangers. For external job agency partnerships, this speaks to collaboratives we have with other agencies, such as Baywork and KUA, to discuss regional industry recruitment strategies, particularly around the groups in which we currently have internship trainee programs. We also have targeted outreach and community partnerships as a strategy, and I will highlight a few. We partner with minority and women organizations for referrals, including sending a number of organizations our full list of open recruitments every week. We also set up outreach and information sharing sessions with representatives from diverse community groups throughout our regional recruitment areas. And these events, which average about 5 to 7 events a month, include job fairs, presentations, and virtual Zoom events to trainee programs like Civic Corps and high schools and colleges. And we also promote recruitment at local community colleges and universities based in part on the high level of the diversity of the student body. And as I mentioned previously, we are going above and beyond our placement goal job groups with our targeted outreach, particularly under the DEISP. We have pilot projects. We're looking into expanding entry-level job opportunities and looking to focus on including cultural competence in hiring questions. The DEISP envelops and enhances all these other strategies. And finally, you can see at the bottom row, all job groups, even without placement goals, are benefited by all of our workforce strategies. When EBMUD conducts targeted outreach, we are also promoting our organization to all applicants who may be interested in other jobs outside of these job groups. Today, staff is recommending that the board adopt the FY22 EEOP AAP report. Staff will also continue implementation of the DISP. Are there any questions?
Like, I can't get this out of my head, so I might as well ask the question. What's the difference between a veteran and a protected veteran?
I believe. Do you know offhand?
I mean, I would.
I think I do know. So a protected veteran is if you serve on active duty in the U.S. military and were discharged or released from service under conditions other than dishonorable, and has to fall into one of the following categories. It's on page 46 of the report, if you wanted the definition of protected veteran.
46.
46.
I
And
think you guys give us these because you know they cause immediate sleep. Okay, protected veterans versus just a veteran. I don't understand. I still don't get it.
I think a veteran, we do differentiate.
Yeah, the protected veteran categories address any type of veteran that has served in specific active duty status. So that could be someone who is, in other words, a person who could be a veteran if they've never served in a war, or they have had any type of reservist status or anything else. So protected veteran becomes someone who's full-time, has also served in specific campaigns. So that's the big distinction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I took the wrong turn on this, but I was under the impression that a protected veteran would be the ones that were specifically named as part of protected class, which was Vietnam era veterans, because they were of a particular timeline, whereas veterans subsequently, because no other group of veterans has been afforded that special status. Korean War veterans haven't, Iraqi, whatever. But Vietnam era veterans have a special status vis-a-vis EEO.
That is correct. And there's in kind of the technical language with that, then there's also the protected categories that extend to that group, but then also to other groups that have served in active campaigns.
Okay. I think veterans all ought to be protected the same, so, but then but that's.
Yeah, that was my thought.
That's just me, coming from that era, like Bill, and, I think we're the only two board members that routinely get recognized during Veterans Day, and, and we had the veterans group that was here, was it a couple weeks ago, and so, but that's fine. I'm good with it. However you want to protect veterans, I got my vote.
President Liddy, we have one hand for public comment.
I wanted just to say, I go way, way back because I was in the Korean conflict. And I left the military, and my status then, I was a disabled vet as well. So I've carried the card all these years. I never pronounced the disabled part because I was able to scramble around pretty good. And I didn't need it particularly because I usually passed very high on any kind of examination. But it was good to have in the back of my pocket in case I needed. The most important thing about it, though, was the services that went with it, because you were free to go into the agency and they would do testing. And they would also tell you where your strengths were, the indicators that would send you to the right goal and objective. And the services that came with it were instrumental in the application because you knew what buttons to push. And as you said, as was said before, sometime you would have things pop up on the screen or information shared with you to say why it was important to list yourself this way. You see, because you represented bigger than yourself individuals who then would move themselves into the workplace based on the fact that they had that in their background. It was an asset to them. And that's what was said earlier in the presentation that people didn't understand. The last thing I think that's important is that individuals with disabilities, they really feel bad sometimes applying and getting in the mix of all that. And it takes some support services to get them into the mix. And when they come for testing and whatnot, it's good that you're sensitive to that and you can help lead them forward, because that's how they get into the workplace. That's how they get an opportunity to be part of the workforce. I just wanted to point those out. These are important things, and D&I, you know, you guys got a big job over there. Keep it coming, and we'll keep asking our questions.
Thank you, Bill. We have a public comment.
Joe Pangellini, you should be able to unmute your mic. Your 3 minutes start now.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Joe Pangellini, and I'm the Chief Steward of ASME Local 444. And I wanted to just make a couple comments. I was hired as an electrical worker through the Maintenance Trade Training Program in 2005. And the electric shop at that time was the most diverse when the district hired at the entry level, allowing gardeners, janitors, and other tradespeople a pathway to promote 2 different trades and positions at the district. Our members throughout the past several years have asked when would opportunities to be hired at the entry level come around again. So I'm asking the board and the senior management team, please look at hiring at the entry level. It would help out members, current employees, and members of the community get hired, but also help reach the district's DEI goals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any others?
There are no other hands for public comment.
All right, any other comments from the board?
I
Andy?
do want to clarify, just for our own mutual understanding, that with regard to veteran status, that for non-discrimination, all veterans are protected from discrimination or from failure to hire, from an adverse employment action. It's the affirmative action that's limited to the Vietnam era. That's just wanted to state that for common understanding. This report is very remarkable to see that we've had a turn down in individuals with disabilities. I think that that's something that we should be paying attention to and studying to understand what are some of the root causes that that may be specific to the district, may be more broad to the workforce in general. I think continuing to monitor that is particularly important, and does have intersectional effects with individuals who are veterans, and intersectional effects with people who may have difficulty accessing support systems, who may be part of other protected groups too. So I also do look forward to just seeing what more we can do, and the report was primarily a report back of numbers and where we're seeing these issues, and so it's good to be able to pinpoint the problem, and I would welcome further recommendations to the board and work at the committee about solutions.
I have another hand for public comment. Did you have a comment?
Very thorough report, and thank you guys. So it's heartening that we have become a diverse organization with 51% being minorities out of the approximately 2,000 employees. So that's heartening, but I just want to highlight there still is disparity amongst the different ethnic groups. So we have Asians at 20%, Hispanics at 13%, and African Americans at only 9%. So while we've come a long way, we still have a lot of work to do. And I look forward to being a part of that.
All right, thank you. And then let's go ahead with the public comment.
Sherika, you should be able to unmute your mic, and your 3 minutes start now.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Sherika Love. I wanted to know about the pilot programs. I know I just dropped in out of nowhere, but I I'm not sure if you already stated where we can find out more information about the pilot programs, but I would like to know more about those. Thank you.
And Sharika, thanks for asking, and we can have Darian and staff reach out to you to provide more information.
Any other comments on this? All right, thank you for that report. We need to, do I have a motion
So moved.
for adoption?
I'll second.
All right, moved by Director McIntosh, seconded by Director Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Janella. So for my one report under the General Manager's report, I want to talk about our drought activities, which includes an update on our water transfers and state activities, and implementation of our water shortage emergency action plan. Now, as part of that action plan, we want to share with you proposed increases and changes to our rebate program and our outreach activities. And we have Andrew Lee, our Director of Customer and Community Services, to begin the update.
Well, good afternoon again, and well, obviously the warm weather we've been having lately is a very gentle reminder that we're still in a drought, and all the work that is ahead in terms of us to manage to all the actions to do this drought here, including securing the additional water supply, and continue to work with our customers to make sure that we reach the goal that the board had established a couple of months ago. That said, you're going to be hearing from a number of speakers today with an update on key activities that they're working on, really to help our customers in the district to get through this drought here. First up is Hassan Abdullah with an update on the water transfer action.
Good afternoon, directors. My name is Hassan Abdullah. I'm going to provide an update on water transfers this year, and thank you for the opportunity. Next slide. Okay. Our current projections for the end of September storage is between 490 and 500,000 acre feet. We're planning to purchase 20,000 acre feet of transfer water from Placer County Water Agency. The purchase agreement is already approved. Staff is currently working on the various permits that we need from the State Board and U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to implement the transfer. Our target date to start the transfer is July 15th, and we should be done with the moving all the water by end of October. Next is Yuba County Water Agency. As you recall, we went into an agreement with them to purchase up to maybe 10,000 acre feet of summer water, and also up to spring 10,000 acre feet of spring water if it becomes available. Due to the hydrology around the New Bullard's Bar Reservoir, which is on Yuba River, they cannot transfer, or they do not have any water to transfer this year to us, to a third party like us. So it's highly unlikely that we'll get any summer or spring water from them. But staff is currently working on extending that 1 year agreement through 2025 in case the next couple of years or 3 years turns out to be dry. Last one is Sycamore Mutual Water Company. As you recall, last year we entered into an option agreement with them to purchase up to 6,000 acre feet of crop idling transfer water. Due to the extremely dry conditions of Sacred River Basin and Lake Shasta, Bureau did not approve any crop idling water from settlement contractors. So we were not able to get any water from Sycamore Mutual. Now we have extended that option agreement through 2023, 1 more year, in case next year is dry. We did not have to pay Sycamore any additional funds for doing that. That basically brings me to the end of the water transfer update. If you have any questions.
Quick
Yes.
question. Obviously, the hydrology has changed.
Oops.
obviously the hydrology has changed some of the impacts. So we're basically, when we were talking about this several months ago, we're about 10,000 acre feet less than when we anticipated, correct?
10,000 acre feet in terms of storage
No,
or
and
what?
transfer water that we were going to be purchasing.
Yes, the Yuba water. And
Okay.
Yuba is in a weird situation that they are not as dry as Shasta, so that they don't have to make enough releases, but they're not too wet either that they can give us the transfer water. They're in a tiny
So
band.
essentially, we had sort of, not banked is the wrong word, we had hoped to purchase 10,000 extra acre feet of water, which we're not getting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So next up is actually Anna Yuola to give you an update on our recent state and federal activities. Here's the slide.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board. Good afternoon, President Lenny and board members. Regarding state and federal activities, you may recall that a couple weeks ago, the State Water Resources Control Board extended curtailment for water rights in the San Joaquin River watershed with a priority of 1900 or later, and water rights on the Sacramento River watershed. Even though EBMUD's water rights on the Mokelumne River have a priority date that is later than 1900, EBMUD was not affected because the state board approved EBMUD's request for an exception to curtailment. That request was approved for 1 week until June 21st. That effort allowed the storage of approximately 4,300 acre feet in the month of June alone. And then last week, again, the state board reimposed curtailment on EBMUD's water rights. However, there should be no impact to EBMUD supplies since diversions to storage have ceased, and that is because natural flow into Pardee Reservoir is less than required releases from Comanche. So we are in essence bypassing all the natural flow and releasing more water to meet downstream obligations. That's it for the curtailment update. Do you have any questions? Andrew, back to you.
Okay, thank you. So to achieve the level of water savings, we know that the district has to have program in place to incentivize customer to do more. And after review of our current programs and what other agencies are offering their customers, which range about $1 per square foot on lawn replacements up to $4 per square foot, we are proposing to increase our rebate program numbers. And the new rebate amount will help us not only to better align with the industry and what's out there, all being offered by our neighboring agencies, but also really, hopefully accomplish a goal of helping us to increase the participation level by our customers to cut back more on outdoor water use. So looking at this chart here, we're proposing on the lawn conversion program, increasing the standard amount from 75 cents per square foot to up to $1.25 per square foot, and on the super rebate and also the median rebate from $1.50 to $2.50 per square foot. And for our smart controllers, it's going to increase from $75 per controller, and for residential households, that would go up to about $100 plus $20 per active stations, with a cap at $200 max. And for our commercial customers, the base amount is the same, but with the cap at $1,000 maximum. And on the high efficiency nozzles, that will go up from $2 per nozzle to $4. And those changes will be effective beginning in July 1st.
Those are the restaurant nozzles?
Yes. So having a good rebate program obviously is a great start, but we have been speaking to our customers, and one of the main barriers that they have expressed is that they don't know where to start and how to start their project. So we've been looking around and looking at existing programs with other agencies. So we hope to launch our own landscape design assistance program to really help customers get jump started on their lawn replacement project. So we are planning to launch our program this summer. And how this program will work is that we will get a list of qualified landscape professionals to, that would meet obviously some basic requirements that we establish to help customers who are interested in a lawn conversion to start a design process. And what the customer will get is they would get a $200 rebate for a 2-hour consultation. And our goal is to roll out this pilot program later this summer. Okay. Question?
Well, do you want to take questions now or let them finish and then? I have a question about this specifically or comments.
No, let's go ahead.
So as one of my former potential vocations was being a landscape designer, I attended Merritt College. We have a great landscape horticulture program up at Merritt College in the Hills. DVC has another one. And of course, UC Berkeley has a renowned landscape architecture program. And so I'm wondering, and I also know from experience of trying to find a landscape designer, is that it is not, you're waiting just like you are for contractors right now. So and I recognize it's summer and that might provide be a bit of a barrier, but there's all these students that are studying landscape design, landscape architecture, and I'm wondering if there's not some collaboration that could happen with the faculty at Merritt and DVC and UC to bring students into this process. We're not talking about rocket science to get a landscape, and it could help, create opportunities for people that are wanting to go into this field, give them good exposure to, drought tolerant landscaping, et cetera. Another thought I had was, and it may, again, not be something that we can do, this summer, but as a companion to our book, is to create some templates or tutorials, and maybe, again, students could participate in this, that help people, imagine or think about their yard and converting it. So it's just a way to think about, not just, landscape design, or getting the rebate for this consultation. Most landscape designers provide a free consultation if you're going to pay them the $20,000. I'm just, and perhaps you've already consulted with your landscape, the advisory group that you have, but I'm just wondering, there might be other ways to go with this that would accomplish, the same objective and get some, benefit to these students that are coming up.
Yeah, and I discussed this with Andrew the other day. And I think that, these are some good ideas about reaching out to some of the schools, let them build their portfolio, and get some experience. The other idea that you had, I think, the concept was maybe even as a design challenge for different style architecture homes and different size front and backyards, come up with some ideas that people can just download from our website as a companion to our landscape book. I think those are really good ideas that we're going to explore to really remove the barrier, especially for those who might want to try to do it on their own, maybe a little more, and can't afford a landscape architect, but can maybe do some of this work on their own. So I think these are good things for us to look into, and I talked to Andrew about that the other day, and that will be looked at as part of this program.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, and obviously we're going to, it's going to take some time for us to develop the program in more detail, and obviously it's going to be, there's going to be fine-tuning and refinement as we go along. In the interest of timing, I think, because we want to get this started in the summer, perhaps, I don't know, one suggestion I can make is that we can use the landscape professional to kind of build out the framework and then start refining the approach going forward in future months. That's not something, that's acceptable. Because obviously we want to catch, the,
Yeah, I just think if you're trying to catch a DIY homeowner who wouldn't be able, I mean, the people that have landscape designers are spending $40,000 to $60,000 on their landscape. That's not who our target audience is, right? It's not who needs $200 for a landscape design consultation. It's, somebody that's got, a yard that is, they can't afford to keep up and want to be able to do something to, address it themselves. Yeah, so
okay, I appreciate the feedback. So we're definitely going to, incorporate that as we kind of look at this, develop this pilot further. So to further incentivize conservation.
good picture.
Okay. So we are proposing to expand our existing custom rebate program. Currently, we do offer a custom rebate program to commercial customers because obviously the cost benefit, we do larger projects, so the savings does get larger return on projects like this. But right now, we're looking at potentially expanding that to single-family residential customers to allow them to participate. The purpose really is to encourage residential customers to really look at employing new water-saving technology at their home, such as looking at potentially compost toilets or looking at some advanced gray water systems within their premises. And the rebate amount that's being considered right now is similar to what we do for commercial customers, which is 75 cents for every 100 cubic foot of water that's safe for up to a certain period of time. What this program would look like in terms of process is that the customers would have to submit an application to apply for the program, and we would have to do a survey and evaluate and determine what that rebate amount is going to be. And at the end, they would have to sign an agreement because there is a longer term commitment from the customer. And the applicant has to be a district customer and cannot be just like a developer or something like that. And we hope to get this pilot rolling in July of this year. Director Katz?
Yeah, so some of these applications have lengthy payback periods. They're not, laundry to landscape or gray water or a variety of other applications. They're, the district has many board members and district customer service staff have gotten requests over many years from innovative and enthusiastic conservationists who would like to make these investments, help the community save water. But from our perspective, very reasonably, we don't find it as cost effective as putting our money into the more traditional rebates for lawn replacement and for appliance replacement. I really support this moving in this direction for this custom rebate, and what I like to refer to this as kind of moving those rebates out of the secret menu and onto a real option list for customers to be able to take advantage of. One suggestion, as we're getting details about the possibilities for this program, is to reserve the possibility for customers to be able to renew that rebate payment. So if their maximum is over this 5-year maximum, and I think that's good for an initial contract because some of these devices may not last. They may deteriorate. We're still learning about what makes these interventions sustainable and durable. And I think that it's reasonable to start this way. But for a customer that does anticipate that they're making an investment that's probably going to have a 10, 20, maybe even 30 or longer year payback period to be able to actually recover the money that they're investing, maybe we should leave or at least have some anticipation of a renewal of that contract amount. I recognize that most customers who participate in this are probably not doing it for the payback. They're probably doing it for the imperative of saving water, and we want to find all of the ways possible to thank our customers for doing that. My suggestion is to think of ways that we can anticipate a renewal period to just help our customers who do want to do this.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. This is potentially not for everyone, your average customers, and this is for folks who really want to challenge themselves and really look for technology to conserve. And again, this rebate is really to recognize the innovation aspect of it, and also, try to really promote change in terms of our behavior of how we, use water and that behavior. Director Young?
Yeah, the other thing that this helps, I think, to encourage is a different way of thinking about it's not really so much of a rebate. It's sort of like, it's like a long-term water transfer, really what we're saying, and hardened water conservation truly is water supply, right? So for these, it's like saying, we're basically supporting some additional water supply that you're providing by, doing this project, which I agree. I mean, a payback, 20 to 30 year payback isn't really a payback. Most things aren't, going to work that way, but it's sort of I think it's a little bit of a way of saying, we're basically, we're buying water from you. And this is what we're going to pay for it, right?
And the beauty about it, this is a pilot, and of course we're going to learn from it, and hopefully what we, learn from this pilot is that we can make the program a better one.
How big is this pilot? So how many customers or how many?
Right now we don't have, we haven't established a cap like how many headcounts we're going to, take into the program. But I hope a lot of people will participate in looking a way to, to do something.
One thing that might be helpful is to give people. I do think that people think, oh, I'm going to put in a big cistern, right? Or I'm going to, do this, and then they don't really understand what the investment is that they are making, right? It's not just digging a trench in your yard and doing something more advanced. I mean, it could be, right? But it may, sort of like just to let people, actually understand, that they're in for, they may be, the 75 cents per 100 cubic feet is a small part of what their overall, investment is.
Yeah, I think, there's definitely two aspects. First, one common thing is, a lot of our customers don't really understand how much water they use. And so when they think this idea of a rain barrel or a cistern, they don't realize how fast that will be depleted. So I think that education is a good piece. As far as the pilot, like how many customers, we're not really thinking in terms of a cap on the customers. We're thinking in a year, we're going to reevaluate this program and see, what the interest is and some feedback that we get from those who do participate. So it's more of a time frame to look at this pilot.
Right, which seems like it also goes along with how well we're promoting it. I mean, nobody's going to apply for it if they don't know it exists, right? So, it's figuring out how we're promoting it as well.
Yeah, I think as to Director Katz's point of, the secret menu, I guess I haven't thought of it that way, but, a secret menu versus making it a little more people aware of it.
Okay, so to broaden our outreach, we have developed a new suite of ads and graphics based on really the same look and feel from the previous year's campaign. We will be starting to running some of these ads to different outlets beginning next month. And this is one of the sample, the ads that we have developed, and it's created by our own graphics group. And our customers will start to see some of those, among others, on the Clear Channel billboards, as well as some of the major shopping areas in the East Hills. So this topic comes up pretty often, and that's really outreach to HOAs and renters or our non-bill paying customers. And again, this is a priority for us because obviously that represents more than 40% of the total customers that we serve at East Bay MUD. And as to outreach to HOAs, there are really mainly three groups that we're targeting: the residents, the HOA board, as well as the people who are actually working on the site, maintaining and managing the complex. And we do a number of things to engage them. First of all, most HOAs do have dedicated irrigation meters, and they do participate in our Irish program. And we use Irish to deliver monthly water budget to help them manage their water use. And also, this is really our direct line of communication with those HOAs in terms of sharing messages about drought and water saving measures. We also actively reach out to HOAs and to provide webinars, workshops, and to discuss things that they can do to help with the drought. And over the years, we have formed really strong relationships with some of the largest HOAs in our service here, such as the Rossmore, and we work extensively to help them reduce water use. And to achieve the greater savings on water, our current focus is trying to encourage turf replacement at the multifamily residential complexes. In terms of providing additional direct support to HOAs, we actually recently held an office hour session on the landscape rebates for our HOA and multifamily customers. And we're ready to do more office hours when the opportunities presents itself. So we do know that it's important to recognize customers that are doing an outstanding job in meeting or exceeding the conservation goals, and to achieve the level of savings they do. I mean, obviously they are probably doing something right and doing something really well that we can all learn from. That said, we are exploring ways to acknowledge and thank those customers through our billing inserts, our Coupa payment portal, as well as our home water report, and throughout probably the partnership with KTVUs coming up. Our goal is to really be able to take their stories and share their stories, and really understand their journey in terms of achieving the level of water savings that they achieve, so we can all learn from them. So this is my last slide, and now I'm going to pass it to Nelsie to give you an update on our media outreach.
Hi, good afternoon. In the past couple of months, we've had a lot of outgoing media on drought. We've put conservation messages and the Water Smart Home water reports into our newsletter, our customer pipeline. We've made the focus for the May-June issue, Make It Count in the Drought, with 8 practical ways for customers to conserve outside, largely focusing on the water use restrictions. Social media, we've also been pushing the messages of water use restrictions, on conservation goals, and on the coming drought surcharge. And on the media, we've received coverage on the excessive use penalty ordinance that will be coming, and the water conservation goals, our current water supply, and impacts of hot water or hot days, and warm climates. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so this is our last slide on next steps. Obviously, we're going to start implementing the water purchase and transfers, and implement our new rebate amount starting on July 1st. We'll continue to work internally to develop the landscape design assistance program and refine that program as we go along, and begin also the pilot for the single-family residential customer custom rebate also in July. We're going to start kicking off the advertising effort with KTVU, and with really comprehensive translation of those messages in different languages, and continue to use all the tools we have to outreach on drought. That's all.
Any other questions? All right.
Just real quick, Andrew, are we going to be reaching out to like chambers of commerce as well, since that's good contact obviously to the business community, to talk about what our options are, rate, rebates, everything else in programs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great suggestion, and if conservation is not only doing that, we're definitely going to make a note to make sure that that's someone we're going to engage with.
Along with what John is saying, you've got the social service clubs like the Rotary clubs and the like, and I know they want to hear the message as well. So, my corner of the world, Andrew, you want to schedule me in for some of those groups? Please do.
Okay. thank you for the offer.
Thank you, Andrew. And then just last two things. First, the Speakers Bureau calendar is at your places. And just a reminder, after the board meeting, for those board members that can attend, we will be celebrating Eileen White's retirement.
All right, thank you, Andrew, and everyone for that report on the drought supply, drought update. We're on to committee reports. Minutes from the June 14th Planning and Legislative Human Resources Committee meetings were included in your packet. We'll now receive reports from this morning's Finance Administration Committee meeting and the June 8th and June 23rd Los Vaqueros JPA meetings. Starting with Director Patterson.
Yes, this morning, we met in the Finance and Administration Committee meeting, and
Me?
I think the items in the portfolio were approved, the items 314 on the consent calendar. But generally speaking, that area moved through smoothly. We had some big bills to pay, but we were adequately prepared to do that and ended up with a plus in that portfolio. The employees' retirement system update was gone through, and the committee recommended that to the full board with some provisions that they provided to staff. And then the policies were gone through. 2 of the 3 on the agenda were moved forward. And that completes my report.
All right, thank you, Bill. John?
Sure. On June 8th, the Los Vaqueros held its Finance Committee held our meeting. I'm sorry, it's been a difficult day, I guess. What we considered was a resolution on approving a spending plan, how we're going to deal with reserves, and establishing a policy. It actually is a very quick meeting, all in all, when you got right down to it.
All right, thank you, John. Other items for future consideration, please submit those items to the general manager if you have anything. Are there any director comments?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of attending the Water Academy last week at San Pablo Reservoir. Heard a lot about our fisheries work and introduced people to how our water supply works, and I would say I love this program. I think that it's, there's nine community members that participated, which seems wholly inadequate, and I hope that we're able, and I know it's just the first time out, but I think, in the future, I really would like to see ways to, distribute the benefits of this program, more broadly across our service area for people that are interested, and it's a definite feel good, and I think it really does help people who, the folks that are participating in this are people who know more about East Bay Mud than your average Joe or Joanne to start out with. But all of them are like, oh, really? Huh, how about that? That's really great. I didn't know that. I mean, that's comes up over and over again. So I think I just really want to thank the staff that's been working on organizing this, especially Catherine Horn, and hope that we can do much more in this area.
If I could tee off on that. I think I'm glad we finally initiated this. I know we had the pandemic and everything else that caused a delay, and really glad that the board is in support of this. I would really like to see it not be every other year that it's being proposed as, but yearly, so we can bring more people into the discussion and the education of what East Bay Mud who East Bay Mud is and what it's about.
And I would agree. The feedback I'm getting is between excitement and amazement. Excitement about, oh my gosh, look at all this, and also amazed. And I think we've said this with Kelly before and the staff there, we got a great story to tell. And we need to be telling it. So to my way of thinking, I agree with John. Annual, especially the feedback I've been getting as to, wow, had no idea.
Yeah, but 9 people annually, I mean, I just, more, bigger, more often, not, like it's a 6-week thing. I don't know what it would take to, but when we come back at the budget, it's like, what would it take to have 4 or 5, cohorts a year, every year, like as a program that we're doing. So
I can't say who will do after I'm gone, but I do a lot of speaking in my community, the Rotary clubs, and that's Hayward as well as Castro Valley, the VFW, the groups. I'm all over the place because they want to hear the story. And so that's why I was saying the academy, but I don't disagree with you, Marguerite. The more we can do to get the story out, I agree.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a substitute for actually seeing it, and being in it. It's different to go and make a PowerPoint presentation. I do plenty of PowerPoint presentations, not the same thing.
No, I don't do PowerPoint. I just get down
Or
there.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, talking about it and seeing it
In
Yeah.
real life is
in
important.
real life are two different things.
Other director comments? Bill?
I just wanted to say, there was a good turnout for the NAACP barbecue cook-off between Oakland Police and Oakland Fire. That happened at Defirmary Park. And that was last weekend. The other element is that tomorrow they have another event in the community, and they will be outreaching again to the community with a fair, and it has some historical presentations. They're using Brockhurst and Market Street at the West Oakland Youth Center as a central congregation, but they've got the street blocked off, and there'll be much ado. Finally, it's good to note that we kicked off the audit for East Bay Mud. We met on the 23rd, and that's moving. Just a note, just a comment.
Great, thank you, Bill. Any other director comments? Then I would like to take this opportunity to both make a comment and close the meeting in honor of Jonas Minton, a water advocate that if you've worked in water much at all in the last 40 years maybe, hard to not run into him somewhere, particularly in Sacramento. I was very fortunate to, very early in my career, run into him and work with him at the Department of Water Resources when I was an intern there. And he was the deputy director there in terms of conservation. Always a strong advocate for using water more efficiently, keeping it in the rivers as much as possible. He was instrumental in securing protection for 1,200 miles of the California rivers under federal law in 1981. He was the former executive director of the Sacramento Water Forum, a group that brokered a wide-ranging deal in the early 2000s between environmental groups and area water agencies to share the waters of the American River. He was general manager of the El Dorado Irrigation District. I got the opportunity to also work with him when I was working at Friends of the River, and we worked, he was a close advisor to me in and helping guide me in proceedings in front of the State Water Resources Control Board. I also was very fortunate during that period to get to know him on a personal level on a 17-day journey on the Grand Canyon River, and got to know a whole nother side of the crazy part of Jonas, which he's never afraid to share, but you get to see in full bloom somewhere like the Grand Canyon for that long. He'll be dearly missed by all of us for both his humor, his knowledge, and his dedication to the cause. And so I would like to close the meeting today. Marguerite, I don't know if you want to add anything else. I know you were.
I also have known Jonas for nearly 40 years, and I can talk about things that Doug can't talk about, even though you know we've been involved in some of those together. You know, he's Jonas. You know, this work can get very serious, and Jonas never let that stop him. Similar to our former lobbyist, Randy Knaus, he and Jonas could probably go head to head on bringing the chuckles to any conversation. Jonas was led the first recycled water task force in the state of California, and I had the opportunity to serve on that task force with him. And you know, he's just been a hero and a pioneer in so many aspects of water that it's, you know, his contribution will long be felt, and he will be missed. All of us were a little surprised by how quickly he left us, and hope that he and his wife Julie and his many, many, many friends get to celebrate his life. And I'm very happy and honored that East Bay MUD is closing the meeting in his memory.
All right. With that then, close today's meeting in honor of Jonas Minton. Our next meeting of the board will be held Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 at 1:15 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned.